possibility. I'm not saying you should move, but you should have options to be in any part of the county. And there's public housing in different parts of the county, but it seems like you have to be elderly or disabled to have an option. So I would, maybe that's a conversation to have.
Most of those are studios and not efficient for a family of more than one.
Great point. Great point. So we're going to take a 5-minute break so we can transition.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you all for coming this evening and hearing MHA's presentation on the budget. I hope you found it informative. We're going to move on to the next part of the evening, which is our regular working group meeting. And if I could have working group members stand for just a moment. Working group members, can you stand, please? Names?
Scott Anderson.
Names and who you're affiliated with.
Sheriff's Department.
Catherine Boschetto, Floating Homes.
Austin, American.
Public housing.
Kevin Coleman, probation.
Raisha Brown, I represent the resident.
Mike Utav, CDC.
Mary Davis, Golden Village.
Proud of it.
Denny Burzo, Bridge the Gap College Prep.
Shirley Thornton, School District.
Nancy Johnson, Community Services District.
Thank you.
We have Laura over here.
Oh, Laura, I thought I saw Liz too.
And Liz somewhere.
Where's Royce? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you.
My name's Aura Hathaway, and I live in public housing. I am the former president of the Jurisdiction-Wide Resident Council. That's how I met Ms. Royce, and I'm also now the secretary of the Homestead Terrace Resident Council and on the Resident Advisory Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Aura. And last but certainly not least is...
Hello, my name is Royce McLemore, and I am a resident. I'm the vice president of the Golden Gate Village Resident Council, and I'm here to present tonight and represent.
Thank you. Okay, so I just want to let you know that everybody in your packet has some handouts that you will be able to follow along in terms of Royce's presentation on housing model financing. We have asked every presenter who will be presenting housing models and how to finance them to address a set of specific talking points. So if you want to follow along in terms of what talking points are we asking for, are we looking for, that information is in all of your packets. I'm going to turn it over to Dwayne Jones now.
Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. All right. So what I want to do is just remind folks of some of the guiding principles that we're going to be operating on. All right. So we had a really good meeting last week. We just had a very good meeting that you all just concluded. Thank you all for your participation and discipline in that particular meeting, because it allowed you to get through the full presentation, get the information that you need, and continue to kind of move this thing forward so we can get out of here on time. So what I want to do is run through, as a reminder, the general guiding principles so that everybody's kind of clear. It affirms what we talked about last week so that folks don't need to be concerned about some things that you may have been concerned about before, so we can move the conversation as quickly as possible. So the first guiding principle is that throughout this entire process, it is a guiding principle to protect existing Golden Gate households. Principle 2, to restore Golden Gate Village economic sustainability. Goal number 3, or principle 3, to assure resident participation throughout the planning and revitalization process. Principle 4, preserve historic Marinship heritage. Principle 5, promote high quality open space. And principle 6, to collaborate with Marin County community to expand economic development and job training education opportunities for Golden Gate village residents. Thank you very much. So those are our working principles, right? So things that we've been talking about for the last 4 meetings, we will continue to say this over and over again. all right? This is not about displacement. This is about you all getting educated so you can make an educated decision about how you want to move some of these things forward. You're going to be presented in the next series of meetings with a few different revitalization concepts. We've been waiting for this one this evening for quite some time now. We are finally here to hear the concept of historical preservation. I'm really excited about it because it sounds like you all have been working on this and thinking about this for quite some time. So we wanted to move this one up to the beginning of the agenda to make sure that you had ample time. Folks should ask all the questions that they want to ask. Because again, these are complicated decisions. So this isn't as simple as historical preservation, yes or no. This isn't as simple as mixed income, yes or no. There are heavy, heavy implications with all of these things that you need to understand in great detail so that you can make an educated decision. All right? So, Lisa, I'm going to turn this back over to Lisa so we can get this thing moving.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Wait. I think I made an error last time. Is it the same recommendation we're going to make again, Ms. Ashby?
No.
Okay.
I just want to say I take difference with you saying households will not be disrupted. That means people. I want to say that it should be homes, our buildings will not be displaced. I feel very strongly about that, and I realize that just like you worked under somebody, Aaron Green worked under Frank Lloyd Wright. It was Frank Lloyd Wright's mind that put it together, and Aaron Green carried it out. So that's why I feel, strongly about this. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. So one thing that I do want to borrow from your recommendation in the last meeting is to at least, for those of you who believe, fantastic. For those of you who may not subscribe to any particular faith, if you would indulge us for 1 minute just to open this meeting up with prayer, that would be fantastic. Ms. Ashby, thank you again for reminding us in the last meeting. So if we could please just either stand or bow your head where you are, and I will give the prayer. All right?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am?
All set for prayer.
Okay, there we go. Dear Lord, thank you for your ever blessings today. Thank you for all that is gathered here to have this discussion in peace and in honesty and in trust that everything will be in your hands and through your guidance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Amen. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Royce. Royce has 45 minutes to give her presentation, and that includes her question and answer period. Yes, really, we'll give you about 50, and then we'll move on to our small group work. I'm going to ask that in order for Royce to get through the presentation so that she has a fair hearing this evening, that we hold questions until the end, and then we will moderate the question and answer session. So if you have a question, a burning question, if you need a pen, let us know. We will give you a pen. We have comment cards. Royce, you want to be on this side? Okay. Oh, and food will be ready in about 4 or 5 minutes, it looks like. So you can also feel free to serve yourselves. But please, let's give Royce our full attention. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and it is a blessing to be here this evening. While historic preservation protects legacy and architectural gifts. So I just want to stop just on that point just for a brief second to say that yes, Golden Gate Village, actually we just got the news that it is historic eligible. And so what does that mean? That means that we have a formal report that shows that Golden Gate Village is historic eligible 3 points, 3 categories out of 4. And the only thing that was missing is if we could have been able to, when they were digging up the hole from the water, if we had found the Indian head, then it would have been 4 out of 4. So, but tonight we're going to really talk about, so that is, what does this mean? This means basically that we are as protected, we are protected through the eligibility just like if it were actually on the National Registry. We just don't have the $12,000 to put it on the National Registry. But it will mean that the county will have to go through every hoop and dot every I and every EIR, SEIR, and every kind of environmental report under the sun is what they will have to go through. But tonight I'm going to, because we know that we're pushing forward, we want to talk about rebuilding a vibrant local economy, and that's the best way. We're talking about building from within, from us as residents, not from without. What does that mean in terms of this mixed income housing notion of bringing people in? We feel that we could do it, bringing back the legacy of shipyards back in the old day. We have a new type of manufacturing that we are going to present tonight and to actually be moving forward in. These are some of the things that people have heard. Displacement. What does that really mean? So, I will go forward. What it means, displacement, is overbuilding density in open spaces displaces entire neighborhoods. I sort of said that. No, you need that. Yes. Gentrification. That's a scary word to most people. And what does it mean?
And Kevin is right. We need to reimagine the relationship between the federal government and our metropolitan areas.
In plain English, it's infill development. It is where you build up.
Top-down, one-size-fits-all solutions rarely work. We need what I call a new flexible federalism that empowers and connects communities, leverages their unique advantages, adapts to changing circumstances.
So what it is actually, when you do the, if one were to do this mixed income housing, and we're guaranteed the 300, Ms. Ashby hit it on the nose, the 300 households. But what is 300 households when you have 900 units? So what happens in these three and three, you end up actually being priced out. And for all of you that have lived in Marin City long enough, you've actually seen it from the Headlands, the Richardson Highlands, to the Ridgeway Apartments, to the Marin City Townhomes, to Brown Court. Those are examples of what gentrification will do if allowed to go forth. Pricing people out. So this is where we are coming from.
Country, there is so much that is working. It's easy to forget that when we watch or read the news. In cities and towns from coast to coast, we are seeing incredible innovation. Mayors are delivering results with what Franklin Roosevelt called bold and persistent experimentation. Here in San Francisco, Mayor Lee is expanding a workforce training program for residents of public housing.
So, what we are talking about, instead of displacement, we're talking about smart green renovation. What does that mean? Instead of gentrification, resident-owned installation. What do these two things mean? So, a neighborhood-centered strategy for growth. That's where we're coming from as the Golden Gate Village Resident Council. This is our strategy going forward. As you see, 3 images, and we're talking about 21st century renovation. Number 1, to restore historic purpose in architecture. We've already talked about it. It is eligible, historic eligible. And yes, we're gonna ride that horse all the way to the finish line. Number 2 is add location for strategic business partners. So if we were to look at this, well, and then the targeted apprenticeship training and employ local workforce to manage, build, and install the retrofits. Now, our planning is based on precedent. That means that we're not doing anything new. These are things that are happening, have happened in other parts of the United States of America. In it, too bad you can't go back. Well, this is the Aspinall Federal Building in Denver, Colorado. What they did here, this is how it looked, and this is how it looked after it was renovated, deep green, actually cutting 70% of their utility bills. This is possible for this up here at the high rise as well as our low rise. This building, like Golden Gate Village, was built with materials and style of every high quality, like Golden Gate Village. The only reason why we're having the water problems, this, that, and the other, is because of the many years, I would say, 12 years, 10 years of actually neglect from the Marin Housing Authority, where we didn't even get even the $96,000 that you saw for capital. We did not receive that. We haven't received any major money for any type of renovation for many, 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 many years. So this is part of the Wayne Aspinall Federal Building that was preserved. And it was preserved, it was preserved, they renovated a cookie cutter style, and then it didn't work, so then they had to go back and really do some retrofitting and renovation and bring it to where it is. We talk about innovation, new way of thinking, and many times most people, particularly bureaucrats, are stuck in one way of thought. But across this nation, we actually have people, again, this is precedent. Right here in Youngstown, Ohio, it's a manufacturing hub. And some people said, well, how are you going to have a manufacturing hub, you know, around here? This was an old warehouse that they converted into 3D printing technology. That is 21st century. Right here is Dalton, Georgia. And they have a plan, and their plan went forth for over 18, 19 months ago. It's been in operation for the past 18 months. They have been designated as a manufacturing hub, and they have the same points. In fact, ours is better than what we have as it relates to workforce training and education. The infrastructure in terms of doing the deep renovation, etc., of our property. We have part of it, you have to have research and innovation. So we actually, as Golden Gate Village Resident Council, in putting our plan together, I'll go a little bit further into it, but we have a laboratory that is a lab that's working with us to create the innovation strategy in terms of producing the various components that could be used for green retrofitting at Golden Gate Village. Golden Gate Village was meant to last, regardless of what the propaganda otherwise. It was built for 300 years, at least, just like the Civic Center. So we're building block by block. The bottom is stimulus dollars, and I mentioned that a little last week in terms of the deferred maintenance. This is over $14 million that ARRA funds that have not been spent in Marin County. We have until September of this year to have that money reobligated. Who can make that happen? Our Congressman, Jared Huffman. And I want to report out that after a group of us went to the Civic Center and let the Board of Supervisors know that we plan on remaining in our homes, and if in fact the Civic Center, which is on the heritage list, that needs $21 million worth of repair just for the roof, we know that they could come up with the money for the sister property here of whatever number the Housing Authority may put on it. So that's that deferred maintenance, but that's not the only money that we are depending upon, part of our plan. Part of this is the coordination of federal dollars. There is a group that was created in Washington, and it's called the Investment in Manufacturing Community Partnership. This group was created in Washington so that our plan goes forward, it goes to this group here. And this group, if it warrants, which if Dalton, Georgia warrants, I know Marin City, Golden Gate Village, definitely. It goes to that group, and then they are the group that actually goes and tear down the various silos in government to make it happen, whether it be the Department of Energy, the Department of Transportation, the apprenticeship program. That's the group that makes it happen. And then from here we go into getting that grant for our manufacturing hub, innovation manufacturing hub. And again, I say we have our partners already. We do between College of Marin and Dominican University, that is the academia. You have to have those three parts and to make it happen. Because this apprenticeship program, which is a program that President Obama, one of the things that he has really pushed, and that is apprenticeships compared with tax credits and local hire initiatives are a way of providing immediate path to living and middle class wages. We're not talking about your usual $10 an hour apprenticeship program. We're talking dollars where in fact you will be able to have a livable wage here in Marin City. It's time for a change in Marin City. It's time to really do business different, because you see where business as usual has got us to the point of where we're facing losing our homes. So we have nothing to lose other than really push forward to this Institute for Manufacturing Innovation, making a change. I could see young men like Shaka and the others learning how to create these various components that are actually used for our homes. And we won't have to leave our homes during the renovation period. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, no, we don't have to. We didn't leave in 1977. I believe that was 1977, Jocko. We did not have to leave our homes. And they did everything from cleaning up taking up the old brown towel to paint, to the showers, etc. Just like the Aspinall Federal Building, that was renovated while people were still going to work every day in the building. So it can be done. The last is the apprenticeship and local hire, that apprenticeship program that President Obama. So we're talking about really all of these components, and I ask our strategists, well, why aren't we ready to push this plan forward? What's stopping us? What is stopping us? We want to work with the Housing Authority if they want to work with us. We want to push this forward so that there can be a change from the inside out for our residents. Not everyone is, like don't want to work or this, that, and the other. But this is an opportunity for our people to learn 21st century opportunities to go forward in new science. People are really wondering about what's wrong with Marin City. Why won't they come on board? It's not the residents, I'm sure. So those stumbling blocks have to just come on down. We're ready to exercise. We're ready to send our program on, our little packet on through to Washington, D.C., truth be told. But I do want to just back up and say that after we took a group to the Civic Center, that in fact, we have been trying to get in touch, have an audience with Congressman Huffman since August of last year. Now we finally are going to have the opportunity to meet with him, talk with him, and really lay it out in terms of what we expect from him as our congressperson. What happened last year or so at Point Arena, it's up north, and the people, the residents there just stayed on their congressman, just happens to be ours, until he saw what they were really talking about and pushed forward, created legislation so that it's going to be, it is historic preserved. That's what we're talking about doing. I know it's, big money that's riding on this, but I believe that who has the last word has a special love for Marin City. And that's why we've been able to be here all of these years. You hear the talk, oh, well, don't you want to, tear down the 300 Golden Gate Village and, we could put more housing here. But what they failed to tell you, it'd be something different if they were going to build more low-income housing here. The only low-income, or not even low, very low, extremely low-income housing is where we are. Because low-income is anywhere from beginning at 33 up to 80 plus $1,000 a year family of 4. So you know how many, and the last I even heard, $100 and some $1,000. So that, we are not low income. We're extremely low and very low income. And so they say only 300 of those. Well, what about the rest? Well, the rest will be what they call moderate and market rate. And that's where the 600 comes. That's where we become gentrified out and so dense. Now, just because we're poor does not mean that we cannot enjoy what everybody else moves to Marin County, live throughout this county, enjoy. And that's the open space. We have a right to enjoy open space. We have 69 College Trailhead of the Golden Gate Village Recreation Center. Why can't we continue to enjoy what, as Kevin so well said last week, in terms of giving us our history lesson, why can't we enjoy the open space? We have a lot of children in our complex. Where can we live stacked up on top of each other? You know, where? I mean, too many more children? No, because, you know, it's going to be mixed in market rate. So you know how they will feel about that. You know what I'm saying? No one in this room will be able to continue in the lifestyle that we have become accustomed to enjoy here in Marin County as poor people, and particularly poor black people in this county. So here, this residential density, and if you look right here, let me see, this is Marin City right here. So the gross high density is 8.282, and that's per acre. Now, if you look at this one right here, this is Mill Valley. Theirs is 3.69. Strawberry, 2.65. So what am I saying in plain English? I'm saying that between 200 and 300% more dense than these other areas. Here in Marin City. So we have we're densed out, really. If they have, what, 3.69 and 2.65, and we have 8.82, do the math. Why do we have to be all on top of each other, and we're already higher density than these two other communities? Now, I want to say what these other communities who are not on the PDA listing anymore, how were they able to get out of it? Well, we started June the 2nd, when a group of us went to the Board of Supervisors to let them know that we are not going anywhere. But not only that, we have a plan that we want them to support our plan. And that's why we, as a resident council, are looking forward to probably get a rejection, but we're going to make that request that one of our council members actually sit on the Housing Authority Development Team as it relates to Golden Gate Village, because we understand that this group here, although we're, you know, beautiful people, but you're not the ones that are really going to be making the decision. So don't, you know, really think that you really are making the final decision. If so, then there would not be a need for the county to have a development team made out of Board of Supervisors. And we only have one. Our supervisor, Kate Sears, has a standing Monday meetings. And I'm sure that in the planning of this, I don't know why it was not taken into consideration, because we need our supervisor to be right here in the midst so that she can see for herself how residents feel. The residents of Golden Gate Village, rather than somebody else taking it going forward. So we're going to be requesting that we have somebody sit, and also we want to be able to give our presentation to the Board of Supervisors, because the bottom line, again, they are the ones that are really going to make this decision. You can recommend, but the decision is somewhere else, And if you don't have any of the policymakers, with the exception of Homer, but he is not in that position, you know, you got to go with what they say. We need to have them, the Board of Supervisors, hear what we want as residents. But you see, again, we're already densed out. You see Mill Valley, Strawberry, but what did they do? Every Board of Supervisors meeting, there they were, growing more and more in number, making the demands, take us off the list, take us off the list. And this is election year, so there's, hey, we got a little clout going here, because we're going to see who's going to really be fair or who's going to be racist, and that's the bottom line. Who's going to be fair or who's going to give Marin City their just due of opening up new doors. The old doors have played out. Oh, our funding strategy. So, what are we talking about here? $50,000 from the Marin Community Foundation in terms of planning grant. $10 million, this is the ARRA funds. $10 million of the Marin Community Foundation. Now I know if they were willing to give George Lucas $40 million, $10 million is not asking too much. This $30 million is the manufacturing hub. And so to be a designation, we do get $30 million. Once we get that jump start, it's going to be self-sustaining, because this is what the Golden Gate Village Resident Council is looking at as we move forward to our next level of ownership and taking over, and you've got to have a reserve, you got to have that money. This is going to be our way of the future. It'll turn Marin City completely upside down and put us on the map for positive. And then there's $5 million from the state sustainable communities. We have applied and will apply and will apply, because what this means is that people from Marin City will not have to use their cars to get on the freeway to go to work. You could just walk from the high rise or walk from anywhere within Marin City to come on down. Where's it going to be? Here on this so-called shopping center site. This is where it's going to happen. I just have these are just different C-SPANs, links that will could just show and prove that everything that I'm saying, this is what's being said across the United States of America. Governments are coming out of the old way of doing business because they don't want to see more people homeless, more people displaced, more people gentrified out of their communities that they've grown to love. And you know, thank you, Jesus, that we have all of what happened across the United States of America, the Bay Area, to be used for us. So we see what not to do and stand on it. Amen. Now, are there any questions? Okay, Ava?
Is there any way that you can get any money from the Bucks Foundation? Does that fit in anywhere?
That's the Marin Community Foundation, where it was $50,000. That's like for a planning grant, because your resident council, the Housing Authority, they did what they were made to do, and that's where the buck stops. So we don't have the relationship or the monies that we had like in the past, where in fact that we could you know, be able to plan. But I think it was $10 million that was there in terms of seeking funds from the Marin Community Foundation. Yeah. And you know, while he's looking to point out, I just want to say that this, you know, is this new to Lewis? No. We told Lewis in March of 2014, and even afterwards, because last year I talked to Lewis about the very same thing, because I believe I want to see Lewis be a superhero. And then, no, for real, a superhero. And the only way that he could be a hero is to support our plan. Otherwise, I just, hate to say it, but I just know he'll bite the dust like the others, because when they don't get what they want, they get rid of people. So, but if he comes on with us, he's going to be a superhero, tearing down barriers instead of tearing down buildings. You'll tear down some barriers so that if this is real, why can't we have this? Where's Derry? Dwayne, yeah. Okay, yes.
Okay, my question is, so you say so the long-term vision is to come from underneath the housing authority, the resident council become its own entity of housing for the residents. Has co-op been something that's been considered in that planning?
Yes, ma'am. Not only co-op, but also land trust, community land trust, so that, and this is not new, even though back in 2009 when I did talk to a consultant who's now a judge, that he was helping residents in Atlanta. And so he's the one that said, you want to do a land trust because, in case of the earthquake or whatever, the buildings are gone, then they could build anything they want. But if it's a land trust for very low and low income, then that's all that they can build on it. Yes, Ladasha.
I wanted to know what was the PDA that mill down when you started acting out of?
What is it? What, priority development area? Yes.
You said it's land development area?
Priority.
They opt out of it so they won't have to put low-income housing there?
They don't want their housing more dense. So you see what it is. They don't want to live in dense housing. And they'll tell you that that's why they moved to Marin. And, I have to say, I understand it because I had to take one of my foster children to TAM every day, and it's bumper to bumper in the morning, bumper to bumper in the evening. I even got an opportunity to see a clip where some of the people are living in various little, hills and valleys, and that's why they moved to Marin. Well, we have that same opportunity that we don't have to be overdeveloped for others. Yes, Homer Lee.
Okay. I like what you said about the high-rise buildings being able to be historic buildings.
The entire complex.
The entire complex. I'm gonna get to that. But then, isn't there such a thing as from what I looked up is in order to be historic, it has to be original and design. But what I know about these units, high and low, they've been altered structurally, and they've had, in concept, yeah, probably, but from a construction standpoint, the buildings have been altered in design. So, conception, it may be great as a concept for historic preservation concept, but the only original building that I know to be original here would be the Rosa building, which is original in design. It's sitting over there, was here doing shipyard housing, and the only original unit that I do know in low income that's original is probably Miss Lucas. Because I know all these other units have been altered. Cabinets.
Oh, we're talking about the outer structure. And on the inside, when I mentioned deep green renovation, I'm talking about on the inside where you can sort of gut them and have the double pane windows as a good example. The heat, the hot water, the heat. Even in the high rises in the 2011 P&A report, it talked about the the radiators, the heaters in the high-rises needing to be replaced. So these types of things can be done, and that's what happened to the Wayne Aspinall building. How they renovated and gutted it back in the inside to bring it back to its original beauty.
Okay.
Thank you.
So when you
Yeah.
when you say you gut them and change the design, that's a remodel. That's not original.
No, we're talking the outside, Homer Lee. And so that's what we're talking about, the outside. And again, come by Women Helping All People tomorrow, and I'll let you get a quick little look at our final report. 3 out of 4 categories, we are historic eligible strong.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, how many of your local representatives have you brought to the project here, and have you talked about your plan with? How many of the representatives?
He who has an ear. There's been Damon Connolly. We've had representatives from Senator Dianne Feinstein's office, as well as Barbara Boxer's office. And we're waiting to talk to Jared Huffman. Leo, and then you, then Denny. Oh, sorry.
My question is, you mentioned other Frank Lloyd Wright buildings, and you mentioned other buildings, and you kind of compared the high-rise to the other Frank Lloyd Wright buildings. Are they built on the inside with the same materials that the housing units are built with? So the housing units,
The Civic Center?
any of the Frank Lloyd Wright stuff that wasn't housing, they built with the same materials that
Oh, I'm glad you, I don't know. But I'm glad that, because Raphael, he's always brought a strong point. Those buildings need to be torn down because they're the cinder block and they're mold and black mold. But that's all part of the 21st century technology. They have technology now that you can put something on the outside that'll seal anything from coming there, and you can, from the inside, seal it for nothing to be able to come through. That's all part of 21st century technology.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, since you all talking about historical stuff, when these places were built, they were not even thinking about making this a historical place. So number one, when those high-rises, I am the first person to move in that high-rising building at 89 Gold Drive. That's not true. I was there when they were building the place. Now when they built these places, they didn't know we were going to have a big uproar about where we live, how we live,
Amen.
And all of that stuff. So y'all get that out of your head. Now I know, and you're talking about our houses. Where I live in a decent home, and I still have radiation heat. I have good heat, and also my utility bill has come down. But what I'm trying to tell you all, so stop knocking about the high rise of this, the high rise of that, this and this and that. Historical. All of this whole Marin City historical. Yes, some of these places are here long before Mill Valley, any of these other places. Maybe Sausalito, Mill Valley. But when Strawberry come up, it come up on the other side of the hill.
That's right.
So let me tell you all something. Another thing you're talking about, the supervised board people. They need to bring their behinds down here.
That's right.
If they can come down here and smile at us during election time.
That's right.
Then all of us, if we have to go up there to the Civic Center and cut up and be on TV and do everything else for these folks, tell them, come to our house, come to my point. Then they know what's going on. Then you can find out what shoe fit what person, okay? And I'll tell you all right, just like Royce said. I'm going to tell Royce before. When Marin City leaves out of here, all of us will go. Okay? Because God got one thing. They talk about, yeah, this is a prime land. Yeah, all of our country is prime land. So get this out of your mind. If the Lord let me live, and I'm going to ask House Authority, and I'm going to ask Board of Supervisors, let me live at 89 Cold Drive, and you all take me feet first.
Amen. Amen. Okay, you didn't get over here. Oh, Karen.
Yes. I was thinking where we have space behind 49 and perhaps 59, that could be solar panels. And that would.
We're not there yet, but it very well may be. I'm just pushing this project forward. And I'm not, I don't claim to be the expert on where stuff should be. But there are people that we have that are working with us that are experts.
The second thing is, I was wondering if it would be possible for us to go to a bank and see if they could loan us some money.
Well, that's not, we're not there yet because, see, in talking to one of our advisors, we've been told you really don't want to do that. Okay, Mary, Miss Mary.
I just want to say, first off, I want to thank you so much for this presentation tonight. I know you've worked incredibly hard, many, many hours on it, but this is the first time that I have felt really excited and hopeful that we're going to be able to be here, and I just want to thank you for what you've done.
Thank God. I'm only standing in the gap. Denny.
Hi, Royce.
Hi.
I think the whole idea of the manufacturing hub is really exciting, but I know there have been issues with the shopping center physically. Could you just talk through a little bit more about the feasibility of putting a manufacturing hub here and what that would look like?
Yes, it would look like a building sort of like Best Buy, and where in fact that it could be used, and we are thinking about partnering with a manufacturing firm that builds prefab housing, green, where we could actually be used to manufacture the smaller parts for them. And that's what the 21st century is, with that 3D. And so, like the earrings I have on are 3Ds. I mean, which is the 21st century that takes away a lot of the work. So it would be here. And yes, I sit on the CSD board, so I know that there's some internal infrastructure problems. And so who knows, because probably the infrastructure problems are almost going to be the equal to the amount of what they might want to sell the shopping center for. And I do know that when, I believe it was Target, when they were going to come here, they were actually going to be able to purchase one little plot of land where their store was going to be. So, I mean, there are options, and with that $30 million, it does allow where you can actually purchase, if need be, right there on the property. Buy a piece of land, buy Best Buy land, and do what you got to do.
We got one question in the back. I think we have time for maybe two more questions.
I heard you talking about apprenticeship programs earlier.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if they're going to be affiliated with the local unions or not.
I don't know.
Well, they should be.
But I do know that in this apprenticeship program, that in fact the wages are livable wages. That's what Obama is talking about, and is talking, and will be talking as it relates to the apprenticeship program. So where you're making like $25 an hour on an entry-level training job.
Yep. All right, so hold on real quick. Let's go here.
I wasn't finished.
Hold on. I want to give us the closeout. This is how we're gonna move. This comment, this brother here, and end with Ms. Hathaway.
No, I was just going to, I'll just go coattail on what he was saying so far as the apprenticeship program, because I graduated the apprenticeship program and went to the local 261.
This is a different type of apprenticeship program. What this will actually do is, the program is where our partners in the lab would actually work with College of Marin or Dominican University to create an on-the-job training curriculum. And so you will be learning while you're doing right on the job and earning money. And one thing I do want to say, with this whole notion of the manufacturing, is that actually, they say, well, it's going to take 2 or 3 generations before this could happen. It's the exact opposite. It jumps 2 to 3 generations. So, what you would be on the ground floor, jump-starting 2 generations ahead versus going backwards. So this is all, I mean, I'll give people the C-SPAN stuff so that you can really look at it and see exactly what I'm talking about is what is going on across the nation. And we have an opportunity to turn this whole way of thinking around. We really do.
All right.
I wanted to say something about what you said, Ms. Stover and Roy. You know, supervisors coming to the meetings and participating and hearing what the people say. You're not looked on as people or community or as significant. You're insignificant now. They don't even think of you that way. You're looked on as votes, and they don't care. Now, unless you make yourself significant, like Ms. Stover said, if they don't come to us, we got to go to them.
That's right.
And when I say insignificant, I've worked in this county for over 30 years doing various parts of construction. I've rehabilitated sidewalks, water lines, sewer lines, all kind of various things in the public works. I have yet to rehabilitate anything in Marin City. Last couple years ago, we got our streets paved. It was so badly alligator cracked that it was starting to make potholes everywhere. Now, I'm 54. Out of the 54 years that I lived here, that's the first time I ever seen Marin City streets ground and paved. They used to do what they call chip seal. They squirt oil on the ground,
Put
they
rocks
come by
in it.
with a truck and spread sand over it to make it last a little longer. I have yet to rehabilitate anything in the place where I live. I mean, yet. Give you another example. Walk around here and see the sidewalks and whatnot. We don't get our sidewalks replaced. They come in here and they get a machine and they have people grind them down, which is a temporary fix. You go anywhere else, they rip the sidewalks out and put new ones in. Read the newspaper. Up here in Sleepy Hollow, they donate money for a clubhouse for these people up here on Butterfield Road out of our taxpayer money. We paying for them to have a good old boy club or whatever you want to call it. But we don't have money to, like Royce said, rehab or whatnot. No, that's because we ain't even important anymore. We're insignificant. We got to make ourselves significant again. Like Ms. Stover said, go up there and make some noise.
That's right. That's what they did in Marinwood. That's what they did in Strawberry. That's what they did in Tam Valley. And they got what they wanted. So, you know, I say we probably don't even have to make as many trips as they had to do. I mean, they had to be vigilant for months. They were there. You know, take a few just to go. They'll just bring in an extra deputy, but, you know, we're not going to overturn anything. We've just got a right to speak, you know, freedom of speech to voice our concern about where we live and mean it like they did when they went up there.
Oh, just
Thank you.
A couple comments. I've been doing a little homework. This is a request for disposition, public housing property on page 6. It talks about Marin City Public Housing Complex. It was designed by Aaron Green, and there might be some question, but Aaron Green was actually a protege of Frank Lloyd Wright, and if you look at the buildings, they do explain and explore organic architecture, which is a relationship between the inside and the outside of the building, the overhangs, the fact that these buildings were built to last. And secondly, this is the current Marin City Community Plan. And in here, it does mention that public housing is strongly related. It is the area, it is our most architecturally dominated setting is a public housing area. And so, yes, on 3 out of 4 of the criteria, we are very strong for historic preservation.
That's right.
Come on down and peek at that, and you'll see why.
Right. And I just want to, in closing, also acknowledge Aura has really been our historian and researcher and has researched all this information. I mean, tons and tons and tons of stuff. So we are equipped. Are there any more.
Thank you, Royce, for a very good and thorough presentation. Please give a round of applause. All right, so what I want to make sure, because she gave us a lot of information, and I want to make sure that everybody has all the information actually written down. So what I want to do is just frame up a document that you guys will get at the end of this process that basically takes all the information from each respective presenter. And we're asking everybody the same set of questions so that you can actually compare ideas side by side and make an educated decision without having to remember all the devil in the details. And so I just want to run through very briefly the questions so that moving forward you know what kinds of questions to listen for or answers to listen for so that you can compare them and make your decision. I think this was a great presentation. There'll be other people making presentations. I just want to make sure that everybody has all the information that they want. So essentially, the talking points of the questions that they'll have, or we're asking each of the presenters to do, is to provide examples of similar public housing projects using that particular model, in this case, historical preservation. Two, the design concept that allows you to kind of move that forward. The cost, I think that she started to talk to some of those costs today in terms of how much it would cost and how you actually get the money to do that. The partners for construction and financing, so list of confirmed or potential partners and the roles of committed partners so that you know who's doing what in that strategy and that plan. The timeline, what does that really look like in real time? And the last one, the non-displacement strategy. I think she was pretty clear about the non-displacement strategy, but we'll make sure we get that noted so that you can compare that against any other strategies that you may hear in the next set of meetings. All right? Royce, thank you again for your presentation.
And again, I just want to thank the residents of Golden Gate Village who have entrusted me to stand in the gap for the best interest, or what I view the best interest for us all as residents of Golden Gate Village. I just thank you for that, and just continue to know that I am a person, even though I may face retaliation, etc., but I am one that cannot be bought or sold. I'm not for hire and I'm not for sale. And even though people have told me, Royce, you know, if you just step on back and let it fall, and you know, we'll pay you. I'm not saying it ain't coming from Lewis or anybody, you know, but that, no, it didn't come from Lewis. But I'm saying that to say it's bigger than that. It is about Marin City community, my home. I came here when I was 3 years old. I'm 72 now. So, you know, it's about principle for the next generation, because we're all standing in this room on the backs of people in Marin City who refuse to leave. So we just got to take that same mindset as they did and take it for the next generations to come forward so that they could have the same opportunity to raise their children in a safe environment. I don't care what anybody else say. This is a safe environment. You know, even though I got a BB hole that was shot through my house, this is still a safe environment. And so, retaliation, my rent is paid, and my I's are dotted and T's crossed. And so I'm standing, and I will continue to stand as long as God bless me. And He's blessing me as He's blessing everyone to hold on. And like our president said, dig in, because we don't know what this is all, the time frame. But if we dig in, we have time on our side. They don't, but we do. Thank you.
Oh, Beverly, one question.
Now, in the plan that seems like somebody, how do we find out? Is there a question? You pose the question, how does everybody come out a winner? Is that sort of worded in your idea? Because it seems like that's primo real estate. And of people say, oh, it belongs to the federal government and they're just not gonna buy it, sell it, But is there a way is that part of the working team to look at a way that everybody comes out winning, financially and otherwise?
Or is that a question for Royce or a question for, I'm not quite sure you're asking the question of.
It would be for Royce and whomever.
Oh, they haven't came yet.
Okay, so is that a question that said, on that list of how we gauge the criteria of how do we judge your plan that's presented?
So take into account the guiding principles that we laid out at the very beginning of the meeting in terms of preserving Marin-ship heritage, all those particular elements. We have a set of questions so that there's some consistency in terms of how you are evaluating your thing. Honestly, it'll be difficult where everybody's a winner because everybody has a slightly different snapshot of what ought to happen. So all we can do is present you with all the information so that you can make an educated decision about what works for you, and then hopefully we come to some consensus at the end of that whole process. So we're saying, here's one model, here's another model, here's another model, here's all the information and facts side by side, compare, make a decision, and let's move forward.
Somebody gonna lose.
That's right.
No, what I'm saying is a decision will be made, which is very different than somebody's gonna lose. All right?
You either win or you lose.
That's right. You're right.
Yes.
I try to be a winner, not a loser.
We are,
Yeah.
the resident plan is a winning plan.
Royce, so one last question and then we're going to break into the smaller groups. So folks are asking whether or not your presentation is going to be accessible?
Sure.
Okay, great.
We're located at up to 79 Cole, number 4,
Right, and if Royce is willing, I can also make sure that your presentation gets distributed to working group members when minutes go out for this meeting. I can definitely make sure that that happens, okay? Yes, okay. Thank you, Royce. Can we give Royce another round of applause for her excellent presentation, her very thorough presentation? Thank you very much. So we have one more thing on our agenda for the evening, and this is a small group process. So what's going to happen is that we are asking working group members who worked on the education scenarios a couple months ago. We're going to walk through a small group exercise pertaining to those case studies. We also have an activity for those folks who are not on the working group and are residents of Golden Gate Village or Marin City. If you would like to participate in a small group activity designed to help us better understand what you feel like the needs are around education-based services in your development, you are more than welcome to stay and participate in that process. Yes?
Oh, I'd like to.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a question.